Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada, Nita Gaura Haribo, Haribo, Nita Gaura Haribo, Nita Gaura Haribo, Haribo, Nita Gaura Haribo. Jai Nita Gaura Premanande Haribo. Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacarya. Astotra Sata His Divine Praises. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. All glories to simple devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to simple devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. So, today we are reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, verse 27 and 28. These are two verses with two separate purports, but we are going to read them today together. praśānta-manasaṁ enaṁ yoginaṁ sukha uttamam upaiti śānta-rajasaṁ brahma-bhūtam akalmaṣam. Praśānta-manasaṁ enaṁ yoginaṁ sukham uttamam upaiti śānta-rajasaṁ brahma-bhūtam akalmaṣam. Praśānta-manasaṁ enaṁ yoginaṁ sukham uttamam upaiti śānta-rajasaṁ brahma-bhūtam akalmaṣam. Word for word. Praśānta, peaceful, fixed on the lotus feet of Krishna. Manasam, whose mind. He, certainly. Enaṁ, this. Yoginam, yogi. Sukham, happiness. Uttamam, the highest. Upaiti, attains. Śānta-rajasaṁ, his passion pacified. Brahma-bhūtam, liberation by identification with the Absolute. Akalmaṣam, freed from all past sinful reactions. Translation. The yogi, whose mind is fixed on me, verily attains the highest perfection of the transcendental happiness. He is beyond the mode of passion. He realizes his qualitative identity with the Supreme, and thus he is freed from all reactions to past deeds. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Brahma-bhūta is a state of being free from material contamination and situated in the transcendental service of the Lord. Bhaktim, mad bhaktim labate param. One cannot remain in the quality of Brahman, the Absolute, until one's mind is fixed on the lotus feet of the Lord. Savai mana Krishna padaravindayo. To be always engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, or to remain in a Krishna consciousness, is to be factually liberated from the mode of passion and all material contamination. So we're reading now 28. Yuñjann evaṁ sadātmānaṁ yogī vigata-kalmaṣaḥ sukhena brahma-saṁsparśam atyantaṁ sukham aśnute. Yuñjann evaṁ sadātmānaṁ yogī vigata-kalmaṣaḥ sukhena brahma-saṁsparśam atyantaṁ sukha aśnute. Yuñjann eva sadātmānaṁ yogī vigata-kalmaṣaḥ sukhena brahma-saṁsparśam atyantaṁ sukham aśnute. Word for word. Yuñjann, engaging in yoga practice. Evaṁ, thus. Sada, always. Atmānaṁ, the self. Yogi, yogi, one who is in touch with the Supreme Self. Vigata, freed from. Kalmaṣaḥ, all material contamination. Sukhena, in transcendental happiness. Brahma-saṁsparśam, being in constant touch with the Supreme. Atyantaṁ, the highest. Sukham, happiness. Aśnute, attains. Thus, the self-controlled yogi, constantly engaged in yoga practice, becomes free from all material contamination and achieves the highest stage of perfect happiness in transcendental loving service to the Lord. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Self-realization means knowing one's constitutional position in relationship to the Supreme. The individual soul is part and parcel of the Supreme, and his position is to render transcendental service to the Lord. This transcendental contact with the Supreme is called brahma-saṁsparśam. So I just want to take my Bhagavad Gita. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Gyananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Staptitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Svapadantakam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahaganal Raghunatam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha E Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Yes, so today our verses talk about loving devotional service and being in touch with the Supreme, with Krishna. So praśānta-manasaṁ, one whose mind is peaceful. Whose mind is peaceful? One whose mind is fixed on Krishna's lotus feet. Praśānta-manasaṁ. So that kind of yogi, sukham, is happiness, very happy. Uttamam, the highest, attains the highest happiness. So yogi, Prabhupada here in word for word, he's saying, yogi, but one whose mind is fixed on Krishna, that kind of yogi, one who is linked with Krishna in the highest happiness, and his mind is peaceful, and because he is connected with Krishna, with the Supreme. So brahma-bhūtam, so that is actual brahma-bhūta, and that kind of state is beyond the Rajaguna, beyond material modes of nature, and in that kind of state one is freed from any kind of past sinful reactions. So here this verse establishes the fact, what is the highest thing for the yogi is to be actually in touch with the Supreme, and in that way he will attain the supreme happiness, the highest happiness, sukham, uttamam, and praśānta-manasaṁ will be the peace, will get a peace of mind, which most of yogis want, even if they don't know much of the Lord Krishna and anything else, but they want peace of mind. So here it is said that somebody who is in touch, fixed on the lotus feet of Krishna, this person will have a peace of mind, and on top of it, highest happiness. So this is verse 27. Yeah, so about the yogi which is situated in the highest position. So then next verse 28 continues the statement. It says what that kind of yogi is doing, how he is feeling. So he says that thus the self-realized yogi, constantly engaged in yoga practice, becomes free from all material contamination and achieves the highest stage of perfect happiness in transcendental loving service to the Lord. So first of all, such kind of yogi, is full. It said he is constantly engaged in a yoga practice. So here we need to understand what kind of yoga practice is that. So since it's a connection with the Lord, so it is bhakti yoga. So it means that such kind of self-realized yogi, someone whose mind is fixed on the Lord, naturally will be engaged in bhakti yoga, in devotional service. He won't be engaged in karma yoga, jnana yoga, or ashtanga yoga. So he will be engaged in that kind of practice. And by that practice, he said, he becomes free from all material contamination. And then what happens to him? And he achieves the highest state of perfection, of perfect happiness in transcendental loving service to the Lord. So loving service, here Srila Prabhupada talks about loving service. So by being engaged in a practice, in a yoga practice, we attain the loving service. So here we can understand that by yoga practice, we can name it by the term sadhana. So by practice of sadhana, one attains the perfect happiness, the perfection of happiness. And that is loving service of the Lord. And that is prema. So here that verse is continuing to talk about the person whose mind is fixed on the Lord. So first we try to engage ourselves in different kind of activities that is called practice, that our mind is constantly absorbed in thoughts and feelings of Krishna, towards Krishna. And by this kind of practice, we'll attain the peace of mind, transcendental happiness. We'll raise beyond the mode of passion, what to speak of ignorance. We'll raise even beyond the sattva guna. And then we will, because it's said, becomes free from all material contaminations. Means sattva guna is also material. And free from all the sins, sinful reactions. Not just sinful, it says reactions from past. Because even we have to become free from pious activities, reactions from pious activities. So this is all what happens when one becomes fixed at the lotus feet of Krishna. So you don't just decide, okay, I'll become fixed, and you become fixed. 99.9% person can't just make it by decision. They have to apply some process of practice, and then gradually they'll raise to the highest stage of perfect happiness. And what is this perfect happiness? Is happiness for who? To whose happiness is that? So of course it's happiness of Jiva, but why Jiva has that experiences that highest happiness? Because Krishna experiences highest happiness. So naturally it reflects to Jiva. It is connected like that. So because Krishna is pleased by this loving service, of course we know we have to perform devotional service, but really Krishna is pleased by that loving service, by service by prema bhakti. That what pleases Krishna the most. And because of the immense pleasure of Krishna, devotee is also feeling very, very happy. Although eternally sometimes that may not correspond like that, may not appear like this, especially while a person has this body. Sometimes the prema is so intense that it can pull apart the heart, tear the heart apart. So a person burns in the feelings of separation, unable to relate to this material world. So it's some kind of, it is a state that you cannot really describe while you haven't attained that state. Often I give an example. It's like there was an anecdote that there was some kind of tribe in Siberia, in very secluded corner in Russia, and they were just living there, their lives. And then there was one of them who was every so often visiting a city, and then he every time comes and he tells something he saw and in the city. So he comes now back from one of his trips, and he says, "Oh, do you know what I saw this time? What did you see this time? You don't know. Tell us. What did you see this time? Oh, this time I saw on a bus. This time I saw a bus. Oh, bus. You saw the bus. Tell us. What is bus? How does bus look like?" And the person says, "Remember last time I brought an orange? And that's what I saw last time. I brought an orange. I showed you the orange. Remember?" And I was, yeah, we remember orange. Yeah, so bus is completely different. So because the villagers, the tribe people had no experience or no remembrance or no knowledge of bus, it was very difficult for him to explain what bus is. He could only say it's not that. Doesn't look like orange. So the same about prema, we may try to explain it, but it's not for the explanation really. It is for the experiencing in the heart. Although, of course, the acharyas have given different descriptions and symptoms of it, internal and external, but still, just by talking about it, it's not the same as having it and being able to experience it and offer to Krishna, the prema. So here we are talking about the gradual process. Yes, so we fix our mind. It said we are engaging in a yoga practice. We are trying to be in touch with the Lord, yogi, the one who is in touch with the Supreme. So this kind of person becomes free from contamination. So first we start with constant practice, and then we are becoming free from all material contamination and attain the higher perfect happiness. So we know that bhakti is a gradual process. It is from shraddha to prema. So everyone starts with shraddha at some point of their lives. When we are engaged in Krishna, when we start engaging in a Krishna consciousness in bhakti yoga. So shraddha is at the beginning of bhakti. And bhakti is so powerful that it's completely independently manifesting in our lives. And that's how the shraddha comes. It described that in Bhakti Lata, when that creeper starts growing and the bhakti is growing in a person's heart, then there are like two leaves of shraddha. In a shraddha stage, the two leaves, the tender leaves of creeper have manifested, have grown. And it said that in that shraddha stage of the creeper, one is Shubhada and one is Klesha Agni, destroying all the kleshas, all the miseries of the person. So this happens with these two tender leaves. And then it's described that inside of these leaves are very soft and smooth. And there the king takes birth. And the king's name, it's called Raga. And then outside of the leaves, it's a little bit rough surface. And there another king takes birth outside. And that name of that king is Vaidi. So these two kings come simultaneously with Shraddha. So that's why we can also see there are some devotees from the very, very beginning, they will want to engage in devotional service more spontaneously out of free will. They would like to just do better and better. And others would do it because they read in Shastra, or they've been told by devotees, or they've been told by authorities, they've been told by guru, so that they would perform it out of some kind of obligation. So these are two types of devotees who are starting with Shraddha. One of them is in the domain of Raga, and one of them is in the domain of Vaidhi. So these type of devotees, the same way, whether they are in one or the other domain, both of them, they have to practice the sadhana bhakti, starting from Shraddha, going up to prema. So they will be just having different moods in their heart, which is internal. But Shraddha is there, and that is the very, very important. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about Shraddha. I was myself wanted to understand more and analyze Shraddha more. But before I go to Shraddha, I want to glorify Bhakti Devi a little bit. How wonderful personality she is. She is completely independent. She is completely independent. It is called, she said, she's supremely independent. I looked in the dictionary to actually see what is sorry, I just need to plug it. What is the definition of independent? And there is said that there is no authority, and there is over a person who is independent, and there is no necessity of any kind of external support. So that's what bhakti is. Bhakti does not need any kind of support. In fact, bhakti supports everything else. The process of jnana, the process of karma or ashtanga. Without bhakti, there is no life. So Bhakti Devi is a nourisher of these processes. But for bhakti, because of her supremely independent nature, there is no necessity for any kind of nourishment. The bhakti is a nourisher herself, and she does not depend on any kind of external arrangement, and there is no cause for her appearance anywhere. It is said like Krishna is supremely independent, and although in Bhagavad Gita it is said that Krishna appears to kill the demons and to annihilate the demons and to save the devotees, but this is not what causes Krishna to come, although he does it, but ultimately he appears only by his sweet will. This is Krishna. So Bhakti, being the internal energy of Krishna, is the same, supremely independent. She appears by her sweet will, and she resides in the heart of devotee. So if someone associates with somebody who has bhakti in a heart, so that bhakti can be transferred in the heart of another one. So even though it seems that we can get bhakti from a devotee, but that still does not intervene with the Bhakti Devi's independent nature. So thus bhakti is not just independent, she is also very powerful, which goes together, because how can you be independent being weak? She is very powerful and she is very independent. Like we know in karma, yoga, if some process is done with some little fault, or there is some failure, or there is some discrepancy, the whole thing can get ruined or get an opposite result. Like we know when Vitrasura was to be born, the Brahmana just took one little mistake in pronunciation, and the whole thing was not destroyed, but upside down. Instead of having someone who will kill Indra, was created a person who will be killed by Indra. So this is karma yoga. With this, you have to be so scrupulous of the performance, the place, the performer, the circumstances. Everything matters so much, and if one little mistake, it can just give us some completely different result. But with bhakti, it is not like that at all. Any kind of mistake is overseen because of the practice of this wonderful engagement processes, like chanting the holy name of the Lord and hearing the glories of the Lord. These kind of activities can just eliminate any discrepancies in the performance of a person. So jnana is also little fall down in jnana. Any kind of fall down in jnana, it's called a person eating one's own vomit. Yeah, you renounce everything in jnana, but then if you fail, you are told to be eating your own vomit. But in bhakti yoga is opposite. It is said that even if person falls down, even if person commits the most abominable activity, still he is considered to be saintly because he is situated in a proper path. So that is bhakti, so supremely powerful. And in fact, the jnana and karma, as I said already, so much depends on bhakti Devi, on bhakti. Bhakti gives life to karma and to jnana process. So as I said, there is a need of everything perfect in karma and jnana, but in bhakti, even a lusty person, if he starts performing process, he will be purified. It is described how just by hearing the pastimes of the Lord in Vrindavan, they are so potent for in a sense of purification, that person can be freed from his lust and any other kind of abominable anarthas in the heart. So that's a power of bhakti, and she's supremely independent, and even performance of pious activities and acquiring any kind of good fortune can't be the causes of appearance of bhakti in our heart. So this is our Bhakti Devi, and we are engaged in that process to let it grow, let it manifest more and more until we attain that highest stage of perfect happiness in transcendental loving service of the Lord. We should never take this goal out of our minds. We should always focus on that. We should never forget that that's where we are going for, transcendental loving service to Lord. We should try little by little with devotional service and then increase it, quantity and intensity, because the devotional service has to be uninterrupted and unmotivated to fully satisfy the self. And self, of course, becomes satisfied when the Lord is satisfied. So if we are still feeling we are not engaged in that kind of full-on bhakti, we should go for it. Yeah, and this going for it, this is Shraddha. This is what's called Shraddha. So sometimes Prabhupada speaks about Shraddha. He says, if someone has a little liking for devotional service, for devotees, they say, oh, look how nice these people are. That's Shraddha, which is true. But the same like anything else, even Shraddha may have different stages. Even Shraddha can have different stages. So, so there is a Shraddha which is called a kind of a Abhas Shraddha, like a shadow of Shraddha, which is just there is something, some kind of first manifestation of Shraddha, but it's not full. There is no like a faith and surrender. So it is it is said that someone like neophyte devotees who are worshipping the deity, but they don't know how to actually properly behave as devotees, they are considered to be having this shraddha abhas, which is like a shadow or beginning, the starting of shraddha. So properly dealing with devotees doesn't necessarily mean that if you are very polite means you are properly dealing with devotees, and if you are not so polite, then it means you are not properly dealing with devotees. But really meaning of the one who knows how to behave with devotees is that we are making friends with equals, and we are giving respect to the seniors, and we are giving support to those who are newer to us. And it's not just by age that someone who is older is a senior and someone who is younger is a junior. So that's why a neophyte devotee may not know who is actually who. So they may not know how to behave with each other. So that's why Madhyama Adhikari is the one who will understand the seniority and juniority of a person, and not just by age, but by other symptoms, which age, of course, is so important also. But that's not the only criteria what makes a person senior. So that's kind of shraddha, yes, that somebody who is worshipping the Lord, but is actually not interested in worshipping the devotees and acharyas, are more or less doing it as a custom, maybe born in certain tradition, or knows some kind of benefit of worshipping the Lord, but they don't know much anything else. So that's not called full shraddha yet. But as we know, as I said, Prabhupada did say that someone who just appreciates a little bit what is there, such a nice temple, such nice devotees, such nice deities, some shraddha is there. So it's a kind of a little beginning. Maybe these two leaves have not manifested yet. Maybe it's just one little piece have come and peeking out through the soil. So this kind of shraddha abhas, which is a little bit shraddha, it can develop, it can become stronger by actually associating with someone who has a firm faith. So you see, everything comes from devotees. So even the shraddha, increase of our shraddha comes from devotees. It said that he is impressed. Thus, shraddha bhas of the beginner of faith is invoked in him. Yeah, so little shraddha we get from the devotee, and development of that shraddha we also get from a devotee. So I wanted to read one quote from Srila Prabhupada lecture, Srimad Bhagavatam 1.7, 1.7.27 in Vrindavan, where Prabhupada is actually talking what is shraddha. So first he says Adau Shraddha, yeah, so in the beginning is a Shraddha. First of all, you come to this Krishna consciousness movement. So just come. Yeah, some of you come and some don't come. So naturally, just by coming and looking at what's around, it is some kind of faith, some kind of interest in self-realization, some kind of interest. So that's also is a little bit of Shraddha. And so then he says, Krishna conscious. So some of you will think Krishna consciousness movement, Hare Krishna movement is very good. Let us see how it is. Or let us join. So first of all, Shraddha. Many people come out of Shraddha. Shraddha means little faith. But according to our Goswami literature, that faith is not a little faith. That faith is also very strong. Then the beginning is there. So by little faith, we come, we join, we start looking, we want to see what's happening, what's going on, seems like something nice. But to really progress, to enter that house of bhakti, the little faith is not actually a little faith. That as Prabhupada says, that Goswami literatures, they are saying that this little face is not actually so little. Yes, so it is said that face means Shraddha. English word face and Sanskrit word face is respectful. So Srila Prabhupada says that Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja. So he's asking, Krishna is demanding, Prabhupada used here the word demanding. Krishna is demanding. So you give up everything and you just come to me. Give up all these other engagements, give up all these other dharmas, and you come to me. So, and when you do it, that's Shraddha. So then we can see, have I followed this Bhagavad Gita's ultimate discussion, this instruction? Have I accepted in my life? I have negated all other dharmas and I have just taken shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna. Prabhupada said, that is Shraddha. So, if you have got faith in these words of Krishna, yes, whatever Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam, I accept. Then Shraddha begins. Otherwise, there is no Shraddha. Ordinary Shraddha is this and that, doing this, doing that, according to our mind. Something I like, this part I like, this part I don't like. But everything we hear from Krishna we accept. Anything, whatever it is, that's Shraddha. And Shraddha means when you firmly believe on the words of Krishna, that Krishna said, Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja. So then it's Shraddha. Krishna said, give up everything, I shall give you. Yes, it is fact. Why shall I bother with this and that? That is Shraddha. Yeah. So Sudrida. So this Shraddha should be Sudrida. Very firm, not flickering faith. So when you have got this kind of Shraddha, naturally, next stage will be, so how can I keep this Shraddha? I got this like first wave. I want to do it. I want to surrender to Krishna. Nothing else is in my life. So how can I keep it? So then we start associating with those who have Shraddha like this. Like we put on a heater, we heat the room, we dress warm clothes, so we are warm. So as soon as we remove these warm clothes, as soon as we go away from the heater, warmth is not going to stay with us. Only we will become cold. So the same, if we have some inspiration and drive in our hearts to surrender to Krishna, we should immediately just associate with these people who have faith like that or more. And then our faith will be established and will grow. And we will progress to that happy state of loving devotional service. So that's what Prabhupada talks about the Shraddha. And not just Prabhupada, everyone. Bhaktivinoda Thakur also said the first must be Shraddha, that's strong first, first the strong faith and desire to serve Krishna. And that's how we surrender. That kind of Shraddha, gives impetus to surrender. So, and from Shraddha, we go further to Sadhu Sangha. We associate with sadhus, with those who have that kind of faith. Then after after associating with sadhus, with devotees, they will instruct us, why are you only in this kind of state all the time? You should progress. You should take some commitment. You should take some kind of vows. You should take some you have to commit yourself, decide fully. So then initiation comes. Yeah, so in initiation time, person is actually entering the devotional service. And that's why it's called bhajana kriya. So by practicing such kind of fixed bhajana kriya, by this kind of practicing fixed devotional service under the guidance of authorities, because service means authority. We may think sometimes like, oh, I am doing something and tomorrow I'm doing something else, and today I'm going to Radhakund and tomorrow I'm going to Govardhan, and third day I'm speaking Vrindavan, and fifth day I am distributing books, and fourth day I'm doing this. This is also kind of good spiritual practice, but it's not going to give that rapid result what bhakti can offer, because there is a missing element of service attitude, because bhajana kriya means you serve under authority. So if there is no authority, if the authority is only mind, and mind dictates today is this, today that, there is no commitment, then there is no bhajana kriya, because bhajana kriya means commitment. And from that kind of preliminary bhajan kriya, preliminary commitment, preliminary devotional activities, one's heart becomes purified, pure from all anarthas, major anarthas, and then becomes nishta. So then it's called nishtita bhajan. So then we can be firmly fixed in that our activity, what our guru has given, what our authorities has given, and we are getting purified further and further and further. So that is nishta, that this bodily conditioning and the modes of material nature are not affecting us so much, or not affecting our devotional service. Through hot and cold, rain or snow, every time we'll just go and do our service, because we are not seeing ourselves as body. We want to serve Krishna. So from that kind of fixed mind, the taste comes. And then we taste that devotional service, we taste these activities, and we develop deeper and deeper relationship with devotional service with Krishna. And Bhakti Lata is just growing and growing. So then, in the next level, from that attachment, from the tasting that external things, like seeing the deity, hearing the enaṁ, we are actually getting attached to the object of the bhajan. So in ruchi, instead of ruchi, we have taste for that service. We have taste for our devotional service. And we want to perform it without any kind of external conditions. I mean, with any kind of external impetus. We just want to do it from our hearts. We have taste for doing that service. But in the stage of ashakti, the attachment shifts from external aspect of devotional service to the actually object of who we serve to, who are we serving, who is getting the pleasure from our activities, who is getting that pleasure from our service, Krishna. So in Shakti we have this attachment to Krishna more and more, and from this attachment some emotions start coming. So in that kind of state of bhava, these all material contaminations, all material concepts, material life, material ideas, identification of I and me with the matter is becoming like a pile of ashes. Everything is burned down. Only these ashes remain. And when you look at them, you understand what it is. You know that all these material things are there. But they are also not there anymore, because only what has remained is ashes. So from intensifying these feelings and emotions, then the love of God comes. Then person can perform this loving devotional service, the render service, transcendental service to the Lord. So that's the transcendental loving service to the Lord. So that's how things develop. And first we have to start with Shraddha. And while we're doing all that we just described, we have to be very careful from the weeds, which are mainly coming, the most dangerous, there are many weeds, but the most dangerous ones are offenses. There are some weeds that grow from sin, some weeds that grow from piety, some weeds that grow from bhakti. But all this is just destroyed very easily, automatically, just by going through these stages. But what doesn't go away so much automatically is the offense, the aparada. And this aparada, especially the nam aparad, starting with Vaishnava aparad, so that doesn't go away so much automatically. That's why we have to be fixed on avoiding them. Sometimes we may perform them unknowingly. So then it's said, by constant chanting of the holy name of the Lord, these kind of unknowingly performed offenses will be eliminated. But once it's done not unknowingly, and when they are done not unintentionally, then there are some other processes that has to be applied to eliminating these all offense. But the savior is a constant chanting of holy name of the Lord. Then this whole process of progression of devotional service will go very quick, very fast, because all these weeds of offenses, they'll just leave our garden, and Bhakti Lata can grow without any impediments, very fast, very quick, and reap the fruits of love of God. So here we have still a few minutes left till 6:30, and if there is any questions from your side, or any corrections, or any points of discussion, maybe we could take these now.
Thank you. Nice, inspiring class. So anyone has any questions or comments, you can unmute and ask, or you can write on the chat box.
So it seems like there is nothing, or someone wrote something?
No, no one's written anything yet.
So
we just had a Hare Krishna in the beginning. Someone wrote Hare Krishna in the beginning.
So that's good, because the chanting of the Lord's names will free us from any kind of complications on the way of attaining the loving service of the Lord. So that's good.
Good.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. May I ask how many devotees are on Zoom?
On Zoom we have another 4. There was a couple more earlier, but they dropped off. And then on Facebook we have another 8. Oh, between 5 and 10 or 12. It varies a little bit on Facebook. People come and go.
Yeah, yes, I go.
Okay. Oh, hang on. We've got a question here on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
Paresh Megani says, how do we become pure by living in this material world?
Yeah, so we need to start practicing Bhakti Yoga. That's how we'll become pure. So I don't know you, at least I don't know if I know or not, but at least for the fact that you asked this question, minimum I can say is that you have some kind of Shraddha, as according our class today. So maybe you have attained other states of Bhakti, I don't know, as I said, but at least Shraddha you have. So if you want to keep that Shraddha and make it grow, make it more intense, then you have to have sadhu sangha. And then once you have sadhu sangha, then your all problems will be solved. You follow sadhu. And then you can practice what we just talked in this class. Is it okay?
Good.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, no reply is coming. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Haribol.
Hare Krishna.